Raffaello completed the Sposalizio della Vergine in 1504, just prior to leaving Umbria for Florence. The painting is one of the masterpieces of Raffaello's youth, and it is, moreover, a masterpiece in several different respects. The story itself is an apocryphal episode whereby the high priest determines who will wed the young virgin by distributing dry branches to all the eligible bachelors to see which branch would flower. The story is captivating and rich in detail. The subjects are painted in an easy and almost naturalistic style, with the deep colors creating a tonal as well as a visual harmony. And Joseph is depicted as an older man, but not so old as is often shown. The Virgin is demure, modest, and clearly very young. The vignettes are detailed and compelling. The frustrated losers are breaking their sterile branches, and a noble giving alms to the poor. The landscape plays a major role, but nothing is as important as the compelling one-point perspective that draws the eye first to the ring being exchanged and then to the open door of the temple, leading the eye and the spirit outwards towards the infinite.
The German artist Max Ernst is one of the most influential artists of the 20th century. He joined the Surrealist group in Paris in the early 1920s, and like other artists associated with this movement, Ernst was affected by the horrific experience of World War I, which for him revealed the moral weakness, social injustice, and political dysfunctionality of the world. Ernst thus rejected the rational vision of life and the prevailing values in society, and chose instead to pursue alternative routes, such as dreams, the irrational, the subconscious, and even magic and alchemy. For him, these were powerful ways to stimulate and free the mind from any imposed limitations. He wanted to liberate the imagination by producing art that he hoped could reinvigorate humanity and give birth to a cultural and spiritual renaissance. Ernst saw himself as a modern-day magician and alchemist, and just like the ancient alchemists, wanted to transform matter. He sought to change the world at a time of struggle and anxiety. And because of this, perhaps today his work is more relevant than ever.
There is surely alchemy at work here, but a painterly alchemy, the bringing together in a single visual crucible the elements of the divine story of Christianity and the conditions for the virgin birth of Christ. Had Joseph been a younger man, the divine paternity of Mary's child would be open to doubt. The high priest had looked for a sign, the flowering of a dry stick, to indicate not the future father, but the surrogate who would take the place of the future divine bridegroom. One-point perspective, beyond representing a modern approach to painterly composition, adds a severity and rationality to a highly mystical subject, and places not only the nuptial ring, but the temple at the center of a rationally constructed Renaissance humanist urban landscape, which at its apex collapses to give out to the landscape beyond. Raffaello certainly looked to the past, a past newly discovered through the works of Vitruvius, but he was also looking to the future and using the mathematics of Pier della Francesca to focus attention on the divine story that would sit above the altar at the focal point of the chapel.
Ernst embraced alchemical themes in his art. The Diamond of a Bride, created in 1940, shortly after the start of the Second World War and just before Ernst fled Europe for the US, is the epitome of his artistic pursuits. Depicting a chemical wedding between king and queen, an alchemical archetype beloved by the Surrealists, Ernst places himself in the long tradition of artists exploring the ancient ritual of marriage. Here we see the preparation of a witch-like bride for the wedding. The figures in the room are inspired by Northern Renaissance painting, and the checkered pattern on the floor seems to adhere to the Renaissance notion of perspective, instilling the work of space and depth. So while Ernst was looking to the future, He was constantly learning from and referring to the past. He was incredibly innovative, explored various media and developed novel techniques. He reinvented himself time and time again as a key to a constant psychic regeneration.
Raffaello's theme is harmony, represented by the mystical union of marriage and the divine harmony of mathematics, enacted in the profoundly human setting of the Renaissance piazza. Human and divine values, both eternal, brought together in a simple circle of gold.
Ernst's paintings are so dense with references that their meaning eludes our full understanding. However, Ernst would have wanted us to approach the mystery of his work not as a barrier, but rather as an invitation to take a leap into the unknown and dive deep into our own imagination.
The story Raffaello has painted for the chapel of St. Joseph in the Città di Castello is biblical, but the message of union is contemporary, as are the messages of humanity and our aching desire for the spiritual.
Ernst shows us that art can function as a safe place where we can shed our fears, explore freely, and not be scared to discover the unfamiliar and the hidden aspects of our reality and inner beings in order to transform ourselves spiritually.
Raffaello invites us to look both inside and outside ourselves to find harmony, not discord, and have the courage to defend the marriage of the spiritual and the mathematical in both our private and our public lives, both in the temple and in the piazza.